Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to day 91 of Quran in a Year Plus, where we learn to look at the world and live life according to the lens of the Quran. Today we're going to be looking at verses 69 to 78 of Surah Al An'am. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وما على الذين يتقون من حسابهم من شيء ولكن ذكرى لعلهم يتقون. Those who fear Allah by complying with His commands and avoiding His prohibitions are in no way responsible for the account of these wrongdoers. They only have to prohibit them from the evil they are doing so that they may also fear Allah by complying with His commands and avoiding His prohibitions. وذر الذين اتخذوا دينهم لعبا ولهوا وغرتهم الحياة الدنيا وذكر به أن تبسل نفس بما كسبت ليس لها من دون الله ولي ولا شفيع وإن تعدل كل عدل لا يؤخذ منها أولئك الذين أبسلوا بما كسبوا لهم شراب من حميم وعذاب أليم بما كانوا يكفرون. Leave, O Messenger, those polytheists who have turned their religion into play and amusement, mocking it and making fun of it. The life of this world with its temporary pleasures has deceived them. Advise people, O Messenger, with this Quran, so that no soul is delivered to destruction because of the evil actions they have done. Such a soul will have no one to help them nor any intercessor to protect them against Allah's torment on the Day of Judgment. If they have to offer any ransom to be saved from Allah's torment, such will not be accepted. Those are the ones who have been delivered to their destruction because of the sins they committed. For them on the Day of Judgment is a drink of extreme heat and a painful punishment because of their disbelief. قُلْ أَنَدْعُو مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ مَا لَا يَنفَعُنَا وَلَا يَضُرُّنَا وَنُرَدُّ عَلَى أَعْقَابِنَا بَعْدَ إِذْ هَدَانَا اللَّهُ كَالَّذِي اسْتَهْوَتْهُ الشَّيَاطِينُ فِي الْأَرْضِ حَيْرَانٌ له أصحاب يدعونه إلى الهدى ائتنا قل إن هدى الله هو الهدى وأمرنا لنسلم لرب العالمين. Say, O Messenger, to these polytheists, should we worship besides Allah idols that have no power to benefit us by giving any good, nor harm us by preventing any harm? And should we turn away from faith after Allah has guided us to it, becoming like someone whom the devils have led astray, leaving him confused and lost, unable to find the way? He has companions on the straight path calling him to guidance and truth, yet he refuses to respond to what they call him to. Say to them, O Messenger, the guidance of Allah is the true guidance, and He has commanded us to submit to Him by upholding His oneness and worshipping Him alone, for He is the Lord of all creation. وأن أقيموا الصلاة واتقوه وهو الذي إليه تحشرون. And He has commanded us to establish the prayer in the most complete way. And He has commanded us to be mindful of Allah by obeying His commands and avoiding His prohibitions. He alone is the one to whom all people will be gathered on the day of resurrection, so that He may reward them for their deeds. وهو الذي خلق السماوات والأرض بالحق ويوم يقول كن فيكون قوله الحق وله الملك يوم ينفخ في الصور عالم الغيب والشهادة وهو الحكيم الخبير. And He, exalted is He, is the one who created the heavens and the earth in truth. On the day when Allah says to a thing, be and it is, which will be the moment He says on the day of resurrection, rise and they will rise. His word is true and will certainly come to pass. To him alone belongs all sovereignty on the day of resurrection, when Israfil blows a second trumpet. He knows the unseen and the seen, and he is the one who is perfectly wise in his creation and his decree, and fully aware of all things, for nothing is hidden from him. The hidden and the apparent are the same to him. وإذ قال إبراهيم لأبيه آزر أتتخذ أصناما آلهة إني أراك وقومك في ضلال مبين. And remember, O Messenger, when Ibrahim said to his polytheist father Azar, "My father, do you take idols as gods that you worship instead of Allah? I truly see you and your people who worship these idols in clear misguidance and confusion away from the path of truth. Because you worship others besides Allah, He alone is the one deserving of true worship, and anything worshipped besides Him is worshipped falsely." وكذلك نري إبراهيم ملكوت السماوات والأرض وليكون من الموقنين. And just as we showed him the misguidance of his father and his people, we also showed him the vast dominion of the heavens and the earth, so that he could, through witnessing this expansive dominion, recognize Allah's oneness and His exclusive right to be worshipped. And so he would be among those with certainty that Allah is one without partner and capable of all things. فلما جن عليه الليل رأى كوكبا قال هذا ربي فلما أفل قال لا أحب الآفلين. When the night grew dark over him, he saw a star and said, "This is my Lord." But when the star disappeared, he said, "I do not love those that disappear, for the true God is ever present and does not vanish." فلما رأى القمر بازغا قال هذا ربي فلما أفل قال لئن لم يهدني ربي لأكونن من القوم الضالين. And when he saw the moon appear, he said, "This is my Lord." But when it disappeared, he said, "If my Lord does not guide me to His oneness and to worship Him alone, I will certainly be among those who stray far from His true religion." فلما رأى الشمس بازغة قال هذا ربي هذا أكبر فلما أفلت قال يا قوم إني بريء مما تشركون. And when he saw the sun rising, he said, "This rising one is my Lord. This one is greater than the star and the moon." But when it disappeared, he said, "My people, I am free from all that you associate with Allah." As we reflect over today's verses, Allah says, "And leave those who have turned their religion into play and amusement, and whom the worldly life has deceived." Ibn Ashur mentions, the mention of life here carries a profound meaning, which is that their only concern regarding this world is simply living in it, not seeking the righteous deeds that bring happiness in the life of the hereafter, meaning the worldly life deceived them into thinking there is no life after it. Allah is telling us their worldview, how they look at life, that this life is all there is to it, there's no afterlife, and there's no need to prepare for it. The idolaters were worshipping idols because their worldview supported it. Their society taught them those idols had power, their culture reinforced it, their environment normalized it, and they believed that's all there is to it. And this is similar to today. Today's dominant worldview in Western influenced societies is strongly shaped by philosophical naturalism. Even if people do not call themselves naturalists, the culture operates on naturalistic assumptions. Only the physical world is real. Everything can be explained by natural laws. And God is unnecessary in explanations. In schools, science, media, and everyday conversation, the universe is treated as self-running. Human beings are reduced to biology and psychology. Meaning is seen as something individuals create for themselves. Morality becomes relative because there is no higher authority to anchor right and wrong. Religion is not denied, but it is pushed into the private sphere and treated as optional rather than central. This worldview influences how people interpret purpose, identity, and success. Just as idol worship in the past was shaped by the worldview surrounding people, modern naturalism, secularism, quietly shapes beliefs about life, truth, and destiny. This is why believers must pause and ask, who created this worldview? Why should I accept it? And does it answer the deepest questions of life? Who created me? Who created the world? What is the purpose of life? Naturalism can describe mechanisms, but it cannot explain purpose, meaning, morality, or the reality of life after death. It cannot guide the soul or offer anything that truly benefits or harms in the ultimate sense. This is exactly why the Quran reminds us to challenge the beliefs we inherit, the worldview, and return to the one who created us, guides us, and defines our purpose. And if we're not careful, the worldview around us, the environment around us, can make us think that belief in God is unnatural, when in reality it is the most natural thing in the human experience. The mind is built to recognize a creator, and questioning, thinking, and reflecting only strengthens that awareness. Intellect leads us to know that God exists, but it is revelation that teaches us who God truly is, and what He wants from us, and how we are meant to live. Without revelation, our perception of Him becomes distorted by culture, desire, or imagination. And you see in the story of Ibrahim alayhi salam, his people worshipped idols not because they had evidence, but because their worldview taught them to believe in those idols, and because following desire often feels easier than following the truth. And Ibrahim asks his father a question when he says, do you take these false idols as a god? I see you and your people in clear misguidance. Ibn Ashur mentions there is nothing in this that contradicts dutifulness to parents, because openly stating the truth without insults or aggression does not conflict with being good to them. He respectfully questioned his father without insult, because speaking truth kindly does not contradict being respectful. And as Ibrahim is questioning their beliefs and getting them to think on a deeper level, and he says when the star disappears, that I don't love those who disappear. Ibn Taymiyyah mentions this is because the foundation of worship is love, and associating partners in this love is the foundation of shirk. When he observed the star, the moon, and the sun, he was not confused. He was creating an argument, stepping into the mindset of his people and teaching them to examine their assumptions. He showed that a true God must be constant, present, and capable of managing all affairs. Anything that disappears or changes cannot be worthy of worship. When he says, هَذَا Rabbi, this is my Lord, Shaykh al-Sa'di says, he said this as a form of argumentation on the level of his opponents, meaning, this is my Lord, let us consider whether it truly deserves lordship and whether we have any proof for that. For no rational person should take his desires as his God without evidence or proof. And he also says, a true deity must manage the affairs of the one who worships him and oversee all his needs. As for one that spends long periods absent and hidden, how could it deserve worship? Making such a thing a god is the height of foolishness and the most false of falsehoods. Ibrahim's story teaches us that we must question the worldview we inherit, examine what our society normalizes, and choose truth over desire. What shapes our worldview ultimately defines what we will think the purpose of life is. And if our worldview is not built on truth and the guidance Allah sent, then it will shape our entire life in the wrong direction and affect our destiny in the afterlife. And there's one thing to know the truth, and there's another thing to follow it, to implement it in all of our affairs. And when we know Allah Azza wa Jal, and we know that He is Al-Hakim, that becomes easier because we understand that this is what is going to be the best for me. Al-Hakim is one of the most beautiful names of Allah. Among its meanings is the one who places things in their proper places and gives everything the position most fitting for it in His creation. And in His commands, He only commands what contains good, and He only forbids what contains harm. He only punishes those who deserve it. He decrees nothing except with wisdom. His actions are sound and perfect. He decrees nothing in vain and does nothing without purpose. Every one of His decrees is done with wisdom and knowledge, even if His wisdom is hidden from creation. And Ibn al-Qayyim says, Al-Hakim is one of His most beautiful names, and wisdom is one of His most exalted attributes. The entire divine law that comes from His command is built upon wisdom. The messenger who was sent with it was sent with the book and with wisdom. Wisdom is the sunnah of the messenger. It includes knowing the truth, acting upon it, informing others of it, and commanding it. All of this is called wisdom. When this settles in your heart, faith stops feeling restrictive. You realize that every command brings you closer to what benefits you, and every prohibition shields you from something harmful, even if you cannot see it yet. This creates love in worship, not pressure. Knowing Allah as the most wise also gives you intellectual humility. You accept that your mind is limited and His knowledge has no limits. You stop demanding to understand every detail before submitting. It shapes our character too. We become more thoughtful before speaking, more intentional in our actions, and more careful to put things in their proper place. You treat people with fairness and avoid rushed emotional responses. You start bringing wisdom in your behavior. And also knowing that Allah is the most wise transforms the way you interpret life. You stop reading events on the surface. You see hidden mercy in hardship, hidden protection in loss, hidden elevation in patience, and hidden teaching in failure. You start looking at the world through the lens of the Quran. You stop assuming something is good just because it feels good. And you stop assuming something is bad just because it feels hard. You trust that Allah's guidance is where goodness lies, because the one who guides you is the most wise. So as we walk away from today's episode, the environment that you're in, the content that you consume, the conversations that you have, the advertisements that you see, the things you learn in school, university, wherever you may be, what does it teach us about life? What does it teach us about purpose and success? How would it answer the question, what is the purpose of life? Does it guide me to Allah, or does it push Him aside? And we just want to notice the pull of the environment around us. And we thank Allah the Most High for guiding us to Islam, to allow us to know Him, to allow us to study His book, and we ask Him to keep us steadfast upon that path. May Allah guide our hearts. May He allow people to see the beauty of Islam. May He make us amongst those who truly love Him. I'll see you tomorrow, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.